Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, and we're going to talk about manga influencing Hollywood. That Hollywood is actually scrambling to buy anime streaming services because of manga sales. This is actually surprising and not surprising, given everything that's going on right now with the streaming wars and with the increased popularity in anime and manga. Netflix's interest in anime and manga. Yeah, so we're going to talk about this because there was an article that was put up yesterday talking about how Barnes & Noble's earnings report spurred AMC to buy anime distributor Sentai. We did a video about this a few weeks ago that AMC is buying Sentai just like, how Sony bought Crunchyroll a couple of months ago. And everybody's scrambling to acquire smaller streaming services. But this was really interesting in the fact that it was manga sales that spurred AMC to buy Sentai. So let's talk about that. We knew manga sales were a big deal now. And I just don't think we had any idea how big of a deal it is that manga is actually influencing Hollywood acquisition decisions. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 258,000 subs. Thank you for the support. Geeky is sitting this one out. It's a video talking about numbers. She doesn't care. That's okay. She's got way better things to do with her time than sit in on another video talking about sales numbers and all that junk. But I thought this was really interesting. We did talk about how Sentai and HIDIVE were sold a month or two ago, I think, and it shouldn't have surprised us. I think Retro Crush got sold too, so everybody's scrambling to buy up these smaller streaming services. And in this case, it was Barnes & Noble talking AMC into buying Sentai. So coming from the Wrap, I've never been a fan, but there's a tremendous following for AMC's interim CEO Matt Blank says, I've never been a fan. But clearly people like it. Oh boy, we're off to a great start. Sometimes media company acquisitions come from places you'd never look in the graphic novel section of Barnes & Noble. That was the case, at least in part, for AMC Networks' recent acquisition of anime distributor and HIDIVE home Sentai. Literally my first week on the job back in September, I was presented with this opportunity. The folks here were well into their discussions in putting that transaction together. AMC Networks interim CEO Matt Blank said on Wednesday, about 2 weeks later, there was a Wall Street Journal story, I think, about Barnes & Noble's earnings and surprises in their store traffic. The article pointed out was driven by two things: graphic novels and anime books. anime books. And I said, wow, this is a category I don't know much about. I've never been a fan, but it makes money. Full disclosure, I've never been a fan, but there's a tremendous following for it. He continued on the conference call following the release of AMC's fourth quarter earnings. I view that acquisition as sort of a microcosm of our targeted strategy. There are audiences out there that we can reach, and we can reach efficiently. The Houston-based Sentai has a streaming service called HIDIVE, which Blank believes AMC can enhance tremendously in terms of marketing. AMC knows a thing or two about niche streaming services. They talk about how they have Acorn, Shudder, Sundance. Sentai HIDIVE is exactly on message in terms of how AMC Networks likes to reach superfans. HIDIVE has low churn rates due to subscriber loyalty and a programming cost that we can control. Nothing wrong with that. On Wednesday, AMC Networks reported it ended 2021 with more than 9 million paid customers across its SVOD streaming platform. That's not very good. Compared to everybody else, it's not very good. And exceeded analyst estimates with $803 million in revenue, 3% gain over the previous year. In addition, subscription revenue increased 11% domestically thanks to streaming growth. Sentai distributes and curates one of the anime industry's most diverse libraries with content available on Crunchyroll, Hulu, and Amazon Prime. Good luck with that. So the people in charge are staying in charge. We're thrilled by AMC Networks' acquisition. We're thrilled. We welcome our insect overlords. Anyway, and we're excited to be part of the growth strategy. The acquisition will not change Sentai's mission to deliver the most exciting anime content. So this is really pretty interesting. So they decided to buy Sentai based on manga sales. They looked at the numbers. And look, there is a manga shortage. There was a manga shortage. In fact, we have friends that work for manga publishers that are telling us that getting press time is next to impossible these days. It was very, very hard to get press time. They were backlogged like 6 months. In fact, one friend in particular told me that Barnes & Noble were basically begging them to give them something exclusive. So it definitely is huge, huge business. Lots of articles out there about how manga is overtaking American comics, beating them at their own game. And American comics are in a very sad state right now. I mean, I know people try to say, hey, the numbers are great, the numbers are fantastic. A lot of the sales in 2020 and 2021 came from manga. Yeah, they were U.S. publishers or the U.S. branch of a manga publisher printing the stuff over here. But make no mistake, it's Japanese content. It's not American-produced content. So, we talk about all the censorship and all the craziness going on right now in anime and in manga. And people are starting to notice when U.S. publishers change or censor content. This is last year. Seven Seas, got caught, changing Mushoku Tensei, Classroom of the Elite. I think it's Mushoku Tensei. And this has happened. I think it's going to be harder for publishers to bring, censored content over here because there are so many more readers. I think what I'm afraid of in all of this is that, manga is going to become oversaturated like it was in the late aughts. Is that what we're calling them now? The aughts. And we saw the Tokyo Pop explosion followed by the Tokyo Pop implosion, right? And a lot of that was because there it was just too much subpar material being churned out because the demand was so high. Nobody could keep up. And then Tokyo Pop in particular started producing a lot of like westernized manga series. And some of them were actually pretty good. I mean, they were pretty good. But there was just a glut of content and not all of it was top shelf. And I am secretly concerned. I mean, I buy almost exclusively manga these days. Anyone who has checked out my Twitter feed or, checked out any of our live streams, I talk about what I'm reading. It's almost exclusively manga. Very few Western comics, interest me anymore. Or if I do read Western comics, I usually wait for a trade. It's usually something self-contained. I think the last DC comics I bought, 3 Jokers, maybe, I think was the last thing I bought. But I've been buying a lot of indie stuff and a lot of manga, and there is a lot of influence there. And of course, we have people that want to sneak in and get control of that platform. This is why we're seeing so much craziness in anime and manga right now with translators and with Crunchyroll before they got sold. I think it was Joanne Wag was her name. I don't know. She charged of Crunchyroll, and she was telling everybody proudly that the Japanese studios were listening to the West's input. And we got things like High Guardian Spice and X-Arm. So hopefully they don't make that mistake again. But I just thought this is a really interesting story to hear that it was Barnes & Noble that prompted AMC to buy Sentai. And I hope they don't destroy the service. I hope they continue to publish physical copies of anime. See what happens. I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.